Hey everyone, Jenny here with Sipping Streams Tea Company, and I want to share with you this amazing white tea from China called Bai Mu Dan, or in English it's called white peony. So white peony actually does not have any peony flowers in it at all. White peony is a tea that is named after the national flower of China, which are peonies, and it has this fluffy look with its tea leaves that remind you of the folds of a peony flower. So I'm going to show you what the leaves look like. Over here, I'm going to do a quick measurement of our 2.5 grams for a single serving. Turn on my scale here. Actually, I'm going to do it on a smaller bowl. Zero out my scale. And so you're going to see how fluffy the tea leaves are. We have over 50 teas at Sipping Streams Tea Company, and you can also order these online, but you'll notice it will take up a lot of volume, because the leaves are not really tight. They're actually quite fluffy and big. So you can see this little bowl. I've almost taken up half the space with the volume. This is definitely a tea that you're going to want to make sure you have an infuser that is big enough for the tea leaves to open up and spread out in. These leaves are not going to expand much more, only because they are already big and not rolled up. So for some of you who don't know, white tea is the least processed tea. It's just picked and dried. So here I have an infuser in my wooden infuser basket, a little steam airship, right? And it's big enough to fit all the leaves of the big fluffy white peony. So one thing you're going to have to realize is if you put it in a paper filter or a small tea ball, it might not fit a single serving because the leaves are so big. If you see here, you'll notice it's practically filled up the whole tea infuser basket. Now, it's not going to expand much more after that. It is still the same amount of tea leaves as a tightly rolled gunpowder green tea. But note that initially, if you try to put it in too small of a container, it might get crushed. The tea leaves might extract faster because the tea leaves are crushed up. And that's why in the subscription box, we make sure that we put it in a box that's tough enough to withstand the postal service. So you're going to just use boiling hot water. Hey everyone who's joining us today. Yeah, we do sell gram scales at the store. So if you're joining me right now, we do sell gram scales at the store. We might be running low actually, because so many of you have been asking about the gram scales. But you can feel free to call the store too. It's 907-457-1660. Hi, Jamie. Hey, Christina. Yeah, so that's the problem is sometimes the post office or whatever container it's in will get crushed up. So you just use steaming hot water and let it steep about 2 minutes. 2 minutes, that's it, because you're going to re-steep it over and over again, and the leaves are going to slowly unfurl. Now, white teas does not necessarily mean the least amount of caffeine. Now, I'm using this container as like a little drip tray. But you can see in 2 minutes, the bright, brilliant, glowing, white, crystally glow that comes off of that, right? So in a white, clear glass, you can easily tell the color. You can see in there's some fuzziness in that. And that's the downiness, the fuzzy downiness that is on the fuzzy tea leaves. So you want to always notice the appearance, the sheen. If there's any fuzzy, like peach fuzz on the tea leaves, that is a really good sign of a very highly sought after characteristic. Very smooth, very viscous, sweet tasting. But the thing about the white peony is that it's very different than the silver needles because it has 2 mature tea leaves from the season before, from the year before. So it's 2 leaves and a bud. It has 2 older tea leaves, like large tea leaves, and a little shoot that comes out. When you look at it very closely, you'll notice that in there. And it's very big and fluffy, but they picked that top picking that has 2 mature tea leaves that will give it a more robust flavor and a bud. In silver needles, it is just the bud, and so it will be more delicate tasting, more light tasting. And those of you who are really used to a strong, hearty black tea might think it almost tastes like water because it's so delicate. For the white peony, it's a very good introduction for people who are interested in drinking white teas because it has that more robust flavor from the more mature tea leaves that have gone through, quite a life cycle already. So you want to smell your liqueur. Oh, and don't forget to smell your tea leaves too. It will smell vegetal, slightly sweet, very sweet actually. And carefully sip your tea because it's very hot. When you slurp your tea, you're actually spraying it over your whole palate. So when you're learning how to drink tea leaves, you actually want to be slurping your tea. Not only that, it cools it down for you. So try out your white peony. Let me know what you think. But the higher quality teas will have much more brightness, sheenness, downiness is technically what it's called. It's kind of the peach fuzz that's on the tea leaves. So for those of you who had this subscription box, this was sent to you before. And I hope those of you who are not in the subscription box really consider trying out the white peony. And if you're in this month's current subscription box, we will have other teas that we'll be showing you. But this is from a previous subscription box. And every month there's 4 different teas. Try them out. You might be surprised that you might not feel as jittery as you thought with other lower quality teas. And it doesn't actually matter if the tea is a white tea or a black tea. The caffeine content is not based off of its category or type, because a white tea is just picked and dried. That's it. Picked and air dried, not bruised, not rolled. And that's why typically a white tea will need a much larger infuser. But you can see it's already flattened out. Yeah, you can already see the line of the tea right here. It's soaked up the water and it's flattened a little bit. It is not as fluffy. So in some ways, white tea, depending on the style of white tea, can actually shrink in the water because they were never rolled tightly to begin with. White teas are a tea that you definitely want to drink sooner than later, just because there's way more air around all the particles and the pieces of it. So I hope you enjoyed this video. And for those of you in the Sipping Streams subscription box who's a member, we're going to be hopping on a virtual tea party just in a moment. So I'll see you there. Thank you so much, everyone, for joining me today. And I hope you really enjoy the white peony, or Bai Mu Dan, as it's called in Chinese, this white tea from China. Thank you.